Okay, so Blade Runner is a weird film. It's an oldie and it's a classic, and I can see why it's a classic. It's a strange film though. I've been very excited, well, for a bit now because it's been out for a couple years. For Blade Runner 2049, looks amazing from the trailers, and I have seen Blade Runner a couple times, especially in bits and pieces, not in a full run. But there's been times where I've seen it in clips, and there's been times where I watched it and then didn't finish it. And it's it's not one that has been easiest for me to get into for some reason. The premise sells me completely, but it's always been strange, especially in the plot. The plot is, I can't say it's convoluted. The plot is very simple to understand. You get in the future of 2019. It's funny watching old films now because sometimes the future is now the past. But yeah, the future in the film, there's these basically clones, you can call them, called replicants, that are as human as possibly can get. They're not robots, they're actual clones, they're human beings. And they become illegal because they started to make some criminal activity amongst, actual humans, whatever you want to call the difference. So basically there's these bounty hunters, which are called Blade Runners, who exterminate these replicants. But it's not extermination, it's retirement, they call it. So they kind of play around with words like that to make things seem innocent when they're not. But there's this Blade Runner, played by Harrison Ford, who's given a mission to eliminate these five. I forget if it's four or five, because originally it's five, but I think it ends up being four for some reason. These escaped replicants who escaped to Earth from whatever planet they were assigned to or whatever. So they're basically on the run, and I guess you could consider Blade Runners bounty hunters basically, except they kill instead of capture. So yeah, that's his mission, and he goes after them. He ends up falling in love with one of them, of course, and then he doesn't want to, you know, do his mission with her. He does it with the other ones, but he won't do it with her. And I really this the atmosphere of this film is very cyberpunk, and that's what a lot of critics and viewers call it. Is like a cyberpunk of the '80s film. And I really think what sells this film is the atmosphere, not the story. I think the atmosphere of this film and the aesthetics of this film is what made it famous and what made it a classic. That I can see. That I can definitely get behind. I can get behind the costume design and the world it builds. I can definitely get behind that, and I can definitely see how that made it a classic. But as for the story, I mean, it's just so basic, but so kind of pointless, I'd have to say. Like the story doesn't teach anything. It has no morals to it. It has no oomph to it. It has no conclusion really. There's nothing, unless I didn't dive deep enough to it. I don't know, but I've tried a few times, and I will try more times. This is a film I will watch again. The whole third act actually gave me a big Crow vibe, like The Crow with Brandon Lee. I really got a lot of futuristic Crow vibes in the third act. It was very gothic. It was very like rainy, trenchy, like grimy New York City style looking. The villain too. He's very kind of comic book, dark, Spawn-ish, The Crow-ish look-alike. Kind of that type of villain. And yeah, Harrison Ford goes all like dark and everything compared to how he was at the beginning. And yeah, it's a great looking film. It deserves to be a classic. I can't wait to watch Blade Runner 2049 and compare it to this one. But yeah, it's hard to it's hard to say that I wasn't expecting something different, and I can say that I tried multiple times to view this one. And this one I did watch completely in its entirety. I thought it'd be longer because I watched the final cut, and I was expecting it to be 2.5, maybe 3 hours, but it was only 2 hours. Which, can I say it was rushed? I don't know. I wouldn't say so. I thought it was going to be at the beginning a little bit rushed and not have enough time to explain everything, but it was enjoyable for what it was. Can't say it's my favorite ever, but it definitely asks for a few more watches, and that's basically my basic take on it. I think it's a classic because of its aesthetic and its nature, not necessarily because of its story, because its story is way too generic to be something extraordinary like that. I mean, so many films that came out in the 80s have like more distinguished stories than this one. But for what it was and its characters and its look, its atmosphere, pretty top notch. So that's Blade Runner, and that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. If you have any different opinions on it, I'm sorry if I destroyed a classic on you, but just my opinion, just my channel. So cheers until next time.